Let's see. Oh, we're starting out with tons of people in here. Oh, wait a minute. That's just the circle.
It's the circle of the earth. That means the entire earth is watching.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
what
I'd
that
like to think that too. Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's Ike from Flipside Music, and I am here with
Dylan.
Welcome to What the F.A.Q. F.A.Q.
Yes.
Live.
Number 6.
Here on number 6, here on the YouTubeages.
Yes. Primetime guitar.
Yes,
Is
guitar
that the
prime
agreement
time.
or guitar prime time?
I think
I keep
I
flipping.
think we're just going to keep doing that
Yeah.
until somebody makes an announcement and says, "Yeah, that's what it's going to be."
Okay.
So,
well,
it works either way. Primetime guitar or guitar prime time.
Yeah.
Either way, it is what it is.
Yes.
All right, we got some folks rolling in. Well, we got folk. Nope. Oh, well, thanks, guy.
Well, they gave us a like.
Okay, so they popped in, gave us a like, and they dipped out. All right, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But with the way this week has been going, I'm going to take that as a F and win.
That's a
Look, see, I
positive.
didn't do it.
Yeah.
I didn't F us right out of the gate this time, which is awesome. Hey, Dastardly Dave is in the house. Sweet. We're going to bring up the chat right now. You know what, Dylan, you bring up the chat. Okay. Because you have much better success. This my week's
Endeavors have been kind of
have been slightly
roadblocked.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week, everybody. So I do have some updates as far as the building build out. What's happening? Gary's in here. Who else?
Sorry,
We got
yeah,
Charles
no,
in
I
here.
was
Brad's
switching
in
over.
here. So we're getting there. We're getting the chat up on the no, on the other one. Oh no, never mind. You know what you're doing. That's me. That's me right there.
There we go.
Look at that handsome fella there. Oh, yeah. That's the one. All right. Joy's here. What's happening, Joy? Hope you had a pleasant drive out to the Denver area.
There we go.
I got to stop in. I was going to stop in this week and say hello to the fellas, thinking that you might be there, but just didn't quite get around to it. It's been a little nutty week.
It's been a weird week.
It's been it's been a little crazy. Gary's here. Sweet. Jeff is here.
Hey, Jeff. How's it going, man?
Cool.
Oh,
Dastardly
Gary.
Dave.
Oh,
Brad,
Charles. Hey, Charles.
Awesome. We appreciate you guys popping in and hanging with us for an hour here. So if you guys are new, which none of you are, but
Yeah, you guys are all familiar.
people of the future.
Yes.
Basically, it's a weekly question and answer show. Just to cancel, otherwise that show will stay forever.
Okay.
Weekly question and answer show. You ask us a question, we give you an answer. That's it. Or if you're watching this video after the live thing, just put a question in there and we'll do that.
Yeah,
Until we get to
typically-
the point
Well, yes.
where we start doing themed shows.
Yeah, and we should be able to do
Themed
that hopefully when
factions.
we've got more stuff over here. That's kind of the idea. Is once we have more stuff over here, we can start doing more themed shows because
Because we could just grab the stuff,
Right.
plug it in. If we're going to try to play some stuff, we're going to incorporate that in some other live things.
yeah,
too,
kind of like live
eventually.
guitar demos essentially, or live gear demos.
Eventually, that'll be a separate thing, but at least we can kind of grab stuff
Yes.
and have some discussions. Unfortunately, been a bit of nuttiness going on with the construction. More work has been done this week, but we have run into a bit of a bottleneck with the loans. So
Yeah, that part. I feel like that part keeps moving, which makes the other part harder, obviously. But
I'm freaking livid
Yeah.
right now with what's happened. This week has been very stressful in regards to the loan. I've been working on this loan, the construction loan, to just get this place right for 3 months now, and we are under construction, and they're asking, they want more time before we do closing, so
yeah,
it has made me crazy because I'm calling people going, well, how does it take 3 months
how
to
can
do
this be the way?
Right.
Yeah, how can this be the way that stuff gets done? But
Yeah, so my largest fears about how this place was going to get going is happening. Well,
Yeah,
one of the
one of them, yeah.
One of the
Yeah,
big fears,
yeah.
as far as like, well, the interest rate, the Fed raising the rates,
Well, that hurts
didn't help
too,
us, and then the loan being pushed back kind of blows. So
yeah, 1-2 punch this week.
yeah, so it's been the liquor store in my neighborhood. It definitely had a bump in sales. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that. Yep, there's definitely a whiskey sale bump this week. That is for sure. But that's how shit goes, and that's business, and you got to grin and bear it and move past it and
Yeah.
rise and grind, baby.
Well, and we've never, this is the furthest, obviously, we've taken things, so.
Yeah.
Some of these things are, I guess, bound to happen. It just sucks.
Yeah, it's part of the process.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the update with the build out. I do have some video I'm still trying to put together, but we're going to be, the biggest problem is we're going to be on hold now for the build out for maybe another week or so, maybe 2. If it goes past 2, I'm going to lose my shit.
Yeah. People are going to start getting the palms of death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to get, what did the 5 fingers say to the face? Smack. That's Dave Chappelle joke. So, anyway, so that's it. So if you guys got questions for us this week, ask us anything about the build out, about any of that stuff, about any new gear we're looking to bring in, or stuff like that, or questions for guitar related stuff in general. There was a question last week that somebody asked, and I do want to address that.
Yes,
So
well,
somebody
yeah.
did ask about the origin story. So.
Yeah, there was that, and then I think too, Colin just kind of, and I don't know that we need to readdress this question. It was just the Gensler versus Dark Glass, and I guess he was asking like size versus output comparison was more what he was interested in. And that part, I feel like it's hard to answer because we haven't had the Dark Glass cabs yet. So right now, I guess I'd have to give it to Gensler in terms of size.
Yeah,
Like-
I mean, the amps themselves are
Well, the amps themselves, yeah, I think the
fairly,
cabs,
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
because the amps themselves are fairly small.
right,
The
and they're both
Gensler-
pretty similar. They're like that big, maybe,
Yeah,
maybe
the
a little
Gensler
bit.
350 and most of the,
Yeah, the big ones
like that can show
I know, yeah.
clearly, just measure that out.
Yeah, exactly. Just run scale based on your own hands, adjust for the finger to
Finger
palm
to palm
ratio,
ratio,
just,
and then,
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, as far as the heads, I mean, the Magellan 350 is about the same size as most of the dark glass
Well-
stuff, but the cabinets, we'd have to get.
That
some
would
of
be
those
that would be the harder part to shoot at. I would think for portability Gensler, but I
Yeah,
would
'cause
think
they're a
for
bit-
just
they're-
raw, yeah.
They're a bit lighter, but so the dark glass stuff isn't.
It's not as heavy, but yeah, Gensler, I don't know. It's hard to say until we get some, but it seems like for raw output, they're both probably pretty similar.
Yeah, and we'll get some. What we've been doing is we've been holding off getting the cabs till we get here,
Yes.
just because.
Well, yeah, because if you guys have been to the shop physically, you guys know
Yeah.
what situation we're in at the original shop.
Yeah.
Because like even customers now are walking in and like they look at it and they're like, wow.
They're like,
And then they
"Holy
like turn and
shit."
like, holy, yeah, and they just. Well, it's kind of funny because even Andrew came in too, and he was just like this morning, and he was just
yeah.
like, holy, because literally every time we've made space, it's filling up. So now it's getting to the point that people are even shocked what we got going over there.
Well, we weren't even supposed to be there. That was the whole thing. Like
Right.
when we did this whole thing, I planned on not being there this long. We were going to be in this building, so there were some certain things that were already on back order, and I'm like, oh, that's great. Yeah, we got plenty of time.
Right.
We'll go to the new place and we'll put them there, and it's all it'll be good because we'll be at the new place. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
none of that.
Well.
And nothing could go wrong. It's all going wrong.
Well, at least we got lots of stuff to fill up the new spot. So we'll try to glass half full that.
Yeah, we're gonna have a nice warehouse full of things here.
Yes.
And a nice. We're gonna pack this place out
Yeah, like
fairly
that.
fast too when we're ready.
Yeah.
So that's really kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Looked like Brad Guitar Miller had a question. He said, since you have the original Univibe, how does the new one match up? By new one, do you mean like the Univerb that just came out from J-Rocket, or do you mean just like the current issue of the Univibe pedal? Because I would say Univerb, I actually still got to try. I didn't get to try it before I left for the weekend, but that one, from what I've heard, because I've heard Jake play it a few times, and it sounds really good. So I was like,
they really did. I haven't played it either,
well, and I gotta say it's
but
more.
I've heard the guys play it.
It's
and
more
it
Robin
sounds-
Trower-y, I feel like, only because of where you have to put it. Because of the verb, you kind of have to shelve it towards the end. And I feel like because of that, it kind of does more of a Robin, which I always liked the Robin Trower sound, because his stuff was usually after, some boosts and stuff. So he always had a little more, a little more chewiness. But in terms of new, like the current pedal, to be real honest, that one's almost more like a phaser. I like when I hear that one, it doesn't, like the current MXR Univibe.
Oh,
Like the
yeah.
current MXR one, not the full on like the big Dunlop one, but like the the little MXR one. I think that one, or I guess it could technically be Dunlop. I don't recall right off, but same thing.
Company,
But yeah, that one I feel like it feels more like a phaser. It just doesn't quite do the same. Like even the Unicorn feels, if you're gonna go for like smaller modern recreations, the Unicorn feels like the Univibe, whereas I would say the Univibe from MXR really just doesn't quite catch it.
It's
a
close.
cool,
It's pretty
yeah.
close, and I think it sounds good.
Yeah, it's
But
just not
if
quite
we were
the
to
same.
choose, I
Right.
would say the Unicorn is the one.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Deja Vibe.
Yes, that one's always
is
a
a
good
really
one.
good one.
Yeah.
That's a tried and true one that people like. But that Unicorn is what
Yeah, that's kind of the house favorite for that. And
we
then
all got one, I think, right? Don't we?
pretty much, yeah. Like I said, I got to try the Univerb just to see how it stacks up, but I still don't think it would dethrone the Unicorn for me.
I don't think so either.
Especially because the Unicorn, once you plug in an expression pedal, you basically have like a full-on Univibe, which I think is pretty sweet. So,
That's my next. Once I
yeah.
could crack open a moment of time, I gotta dive into that thing a little bit more.
Yeah.
But all right,
Oh, and he
so-
did say yes, the new Univerb. So I will probably be able to answer, or we will be able to answer that better next week. Like we said, we had a kind of a weird week, but from the bits that I've heard Jake play it, it sounds really, really good so far. So
Yeah, sounds
yeah,
good.
because to be honest, that was like one I really didn't want to be a disappointment. So I'm glad, like everything I've heard from it so far has not been disappointing. So.
No, and I mean they make solid stuff. So
Well, they do,
we
but I
can't-
just feel like modulation isn't really what they're known
They're
for.
very good with the drives.
Right.
Drive wise, it's pretty
Yeah.
killer. So
Yeah.
I see Ryan Elias jumped in. Sorry you're late. It's all good, man. Thank you, Ryan. So
Yeah, thanks for showing up at all.
yeah, Ryan's a friend of ours, and he helped us out with our situation with getting internet here at the building. So that's a really cool thing, because hopefully,
We can make this better once we have
yeah,
that.
hopefully when Comcast gets here and gets everything all connected,
Yeah.
then we can start doing the real razzle dazzle.
Yes.
That's when the real good stuff starts.
Yeah.
We'll have an intro and a whole bunch of stuff and maybe graphic-y things.
And mixers, and we'll both be able to play.
And it'll be
yeah.
like deep voice. Hello.
Yeah, we'll just EQ the shit out of it and put some reverb.
Hello. Welcome to Flipside Music.
Yeah.
I was looking at the Mackie,
Just make it super creepy.
the Mackie M-Caster.
Oh yeah. You were telling me about that.
Yeah, so that's actually really cool. So anybody, all right, let's get out of here. Okay. Yeah, it was the Mackie M-Caster. I was looking at that, and that's a really kind of a cool little piece for anybody who's doing live stream. If you're doing live stream, check that thing out. It's a cool little thing, and it's not a very big. It's not a big unit.
It's not a bit. Oh, man, you and Gordo like have me messed up with that word now because this dude comes in today and he had like a Hamer and it was like a dual P90 and he's like, it's a clean unit, and I was like, God damn, like yeah, just because I'm sitting there laughing and then I had to tell him like the context of why I'm sitting there chuckling as much as I am at him saying that's a clean unit. I'm like, I mean, it was a pretty clean guitar. It was just funny though.
That's what we do. We ruin the English language here.
Yeah.
So what the hell was I talking about? Oh, Ryan.
Yes.
Comcast. So everybody, thank Ryan for getting us cable. Hopefully within the next couple weeks, we'll be streaming,
Yes.
doing all the things,
Run a
having
mixer
good
and
times.
everything,
We can get a mixer in there.
Yeah.
We can start bringing some groovy things that we want to show you guys that we think is cool.
Yeah.
Maybe to the.
Well, I think it'll be
To the-
cool doing
to the
live
shoe.
gear demos because then people can just ask us straight up, like, "Hey, what happens if you put this into that kind of a thing?" And
That
we
would
can
be
just do-
separate from
Yeah.
the FAQ, but I think what the FAQ is,
Yeah.
we could bring a thing and talk about it, but we could
Yeah.
actually play it.
Well, that's what I mean, though.
Discuss that.
Yeah, everybody could ask those specifically, like that thing, like especially once we have the iridiums, like how's it sound in
Oh,
a
yeah.
Marshall, Vox, Fender, those types of things, like the normal questions.
Yeah, so very cool. We're looking forward to that. I'm
Yeah.
very much looking forward to being able to work out of this space without the internet dropping every 2 minutes. Because that's currently what happens. It's like it's here and then it drops, then it comes back on. And so like if I'm working from here online, it drives me nuts because
Yes.
sometimes I gotta wait,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, no, it is. Well, yeah. That I feel like we're just traumatized straight up. Because even when it fails at the current shop, it's
Oh,
always like right when we're like even this morning, it was 12:02, and it went down, and I was like, really? You're kidding? Like right when we're
This week has
yeah.
been that kind of week.
Yeah.
It has definitely been that kind of week. So,
Yeah.
all right. So what else we got here?
So it looks like Jeffrey and Charles actually kind of have a overlapping question to an extent. So Jeff asks, or Jeffrey asks, are there any pedals you had back in the day that you wish you still had because of what they're worth now? And then Charles was kind of asking similar, what piece of gear did you get rid of in the past but are looking to get again? So we'll start with the first one. I don't know that I've ever had anything that ever gained like a lot of value. I mean, I think the two things that we both did maybe beat the curve on were like the Hyperfuzz, the Boss Hyperfuzz, which luckily we kept those. So yeah, luckily
We both kept. I
yeah.
think I got one right
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah. Because
And
I was
then
gonna say that one
We still got the Sun O too.
yes. Well, yeah.
Well, I know where it's still in R&D.
No, it's
Isn't
in
it?
It's in the cabinet.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was still
Yeah.
in R&D.
No.
At Dylan's house.
No,
He's got a big R&D department at Casa de Washburn.
Well, certain things need to be doom rigged to see just how they'll hold up.
Yeah,
I
gotta make
conduct
sure
sonic experiments.
I gotta make sure I got the FC somewhere. I don't know where I put it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, but that one we definitely beat because like even like a year after we got those,
Oh,
they
the
blew-
old ones, yeah, the fives.
yeah, those blew up. So like
Yeah.
those got to be worth like at least quadruple what we paid for the first two. So
Oh,
yeah, so that was probably the only one that I feel like comes to mind right off. I don't know if you've ever owned anything that you wish you. Because I mean, most of the stuff you've had, you've kind of kept the real good stuff. seems
yeah, and
like,
I've
so-
shuffled the rest of the stuff along, except for maybe that old Ibanez Flanger.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
You know, I still got it. It's sitting on the desk at the shop.
But yeah, I don't think I've ever like looked out and had a piece that I don't think either one of us ever had anything that suddenly became super rare.
No,
Or
I mean,
super valuable.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember, for a long, long time, honestly, all I had was a guitar and an amplifier and a blues driver.
Yeah.
For a very long time, and that was really just because I was broke as fuck,
Yeah.
and I just couldn't afford anything. So I had a Strat, a blues driver, and well, I had that Twin for a very long time.
Oh yeah, your twin. Man, that was a beast. That was one of the heavy ones.
That
Yeah.
was so freaking
Yeah.
heavy. So I think that was, I mean, I got an '89 Strat that was my first Strat, like the first guitar I ever saved money for, first real guitar I ever purchased. But it's still, I mean, it's an '89 American Standard. It's,
Right.
$1,000 maybe now, $800.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I did really luck out with my Explorer technically, but I would never sell it. So.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, because my Explorer, I was only into that for 600. Now that was, man, how long ago was that?
That's a good deal.
Like
You can't
2008.
even get close to that.
Yeah, I think that was 2008 when I picked that up. But yeah, it was 600 is what I was into it for that one. And now, I mean, I think even in the same condition, which is definitely beat, they go for like 12-ish. So, which is kind of crazy. But,
Yeah, that's.
but
that goes up in value. I mean, other than that,
yeah, I don't think either of us have ever had like a holy grail item that suddenly just like. I wish we did, but
I mean, I've made some good deals on stuff and that I've kept, like
Right.
my Vibrolux.
Yeah.
Is a
Oh,
good
that's a
example.
great- yeah.
The
Well, and actually,
Mesa
that
Boogie
sort of go, yeah,
Mark IV.
yeah, or yeah, well, I was gonna say to Charles's question, your Vibrolux would kind of go to that, because that was basically one amp that came in that we ended up selling to another guy that
Oh
came
yeah,
back.
actually that would.
So
qualify.
yeah, and that one's like really the only piece I remember specifically that you were like, upset to see it go, and then it actually did come back to you. Yeah.
So I sold it. We had this Vibrolux come in, got a good price on it.
was like a
70,
70s,
70,
yeah.
77, 76, something like that.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine was actually looking for one. I said, hey man, I got one. Here you go. If you want it, got to give him a good price on
Yeah,
it.
one that was like within the day.
Yeah, it was within a couple of
close,
days.
Yeah.
It was just kind of one of those coincidences where we happened to get one and somebody was looking for one. So he's like, I can't get in for a couple weeks. I can't get in for a couple weeks until I pick it up. I said, yeah, sure. So I set it aside. And like the day before he came to pick it up, I'm like, let me just, make sure everything's fine. And I plugged it in and I was like, oh no, I made a terrible mistake.
Yeah. Well, that was one that because I'm sure you guys have probably tried a lot of silver face fenders. Some of them just have it and some of them don't always. But
Yeah.
that one really had it. Like that one just had the stuff.
Yep, and I played it, and I was like, oh, this was a terrible, this was a terrible decision. So but I didn't back out because, I'm a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
And so I sold it, but when he left, I was like, if you ever want to sell this thing, bring it back.
Right.
And then the pandemic hit, and there was a few months after that, and then next thing I know,
he'd stopped gigging as much, and it came back.
and next thing you know, here's the door opens, and he's walking through with the Fiberlux, and I'm like, oh, come home to daddy. So I did get that one back. But as far as gear, I mean, I sold one piece. I kind of wish I still had it, but I don't know how much I would use it at this point. But I did sell a dual showman.
Oh yeah.
Dual showman, because I had to pay rent and I had to sell it because you gotta live somewhere. So it was.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't live in our amps. I wish we could. You almost couldn't mine.
Yeah, some
yeah.
The cabinet to that damn dual showman, I could have probably lived in. It was huge. I kind of regret that, selling that thing, but because I got it at a really good price, and it kind of blew, but
yeah,
you got to pay rent. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and I'm looking around going, well, what's going to get me over the line?
Yeah.
And it was that, so.
Yeah, I think for Chuck's question, or Charles, sorry, I don't know why I called him Chuck. I don't know if he goes by Chuck or not. Anyway.
Well, you would have put Chuck.
He probably would have. So anyway, Charles, sorry. I think the only one that ever got away, well, actually, this one was kind of weird. Luckily, I did get one recently, sort of recently, I think it was February. But the Crowther Audio Hotcake, we had one. Yeah, we had one come in like years ago, and I was literally in the middle of testing it, and the customer at the time, he came in and he bought it like while I was testing it because he thought it sounded good. But obviously, I could have like tried to hide it on the thing. I didn't know that I was gonna want it as much as I did, so that kind of sucked to like get that into it while I was playing it, and I was like getting ready, and he's like, oh yeah, I just bought that online, and I was like, oh man, because then I had to give it up, obviously.
Yeah. It was a done deal at that point.
Yeah, so that one kind of sucked, but luckily one finally, years after years, came walking back in, so.
That happens. Like we got certain ones that if it comes through, we're grabbing it.
Yeah. And I love the Hotcake. Like if any of you guys are familiar with it, it's kind of, I don't know. It doesn't really remind me of any of like the normal, it doesn't really remind me of a Blues Breaker. It doesn't remind me of a Klon or a Tube Screamer. It's kind of got its own thing going on, but.
Yeah, it's a good pedal.
It's a very kind of woolly pedal, but it's really great for single coils. And a lot of people actually, because it is woolly, I guess it's really a popular thing to run into Vox amplifiers, which I didn't really realize, but I could totally see it. It would sound pretty great on that, so.
We get some cool stuff that comes through, so like we snatch it up.
Yeah. I think we've learned some. We've learned some lessons from that though too.
Yeah. Like I picked up a '70s, late '70s Distortion Plus.
Oh
like,
yeah,
that was a cool and I was like, that never even made it to the back room.
That was
like, as soon as it came in, I was like, mine.
Well, what was cool about that one?
Because the one we had before that was sold to the guys at the studio.
Well, and which one was which? Was it the first one or the second one that was the demo one? Because there was one that was from like a demo board from like one of the salesmen, I thought, that walked in, and I thought, I couldn't remember, but it was just interesting because it was all very intact compared to a lot of like the.
This one's a little beat up.
Okay, then it must have been the first one we had.
I mean,
yeah, because
it's the Distortion Plus. That was, everybody needed one of those when I was a kid because you were trying to get to that Eddie tone, and it was pretty awesome. I couldn't play shit at. Still can't play it, so it doesn't matter. But I got it.
Well,
I don't care.
Well, no, I mean Isaiah's the reason I got the Hotcake, and I can't play like Isaiah yet. But
as long as we can use it, that's the whole thing.
Yeah, as long as you have fun with it.
Yeah. All right. So where else? Where are we at?
Oh yeah, we did have the. If we don't have any other questions, oh wait, we do have one. Jacob and the Ghost asks, did y'all get the float from Old Blood Noise? We have not gotten those yet.
We haven't gotten those in yet.
That, and I think we're also waiting on the.
I gotta check and see where that's at, though.
Yeah, we gotta also check on the Death by Audio. What was that new? The Space Blender? Was that what it was called?
I gotta check those. Yeah. I gotta see where. Yeah, it's been a crazy ride this week with the building. There's been a lot of twists and turns, like we said earlier. So, I'll check on those. We haven't got them in yet, though. No.
But yeah, we should be at some point, obviously. Then, yeah, if there's no other questions, let me go ahead and pull up the question we had from, I forgot who it was.
It's hot.
It is a little warm in here today. It was weird though, because it felt like it was doing pretty good.
Yeah, well, I didn't get in here early enough. We sliding in here at the last second again today. Well, I should have turned it on earlier before I left.
Oh,
I basically sat around most of the day with my thumb in my ass waiting for a building inspector.
Oh, that never showed up.
So I'm sure he wouldn't be appreciative if they wasted
Wait, and
his
you
time.
showed up at 8:15 for that guy? That was the...
Well, so here's the short version of that fuckery. So we were supposed to meet. I get from the GC says, hey, they got us a window between 8:30 and 3:30. I'm like, well, that's a shit window, number one. But I had a periodontal
Right.
appointment today. So I get down here at 8:30 and realize, oh no, they switched it to between 1 and 3:30.
Oh.
So great, okay, go home. Did a little bit of
Such a
work.
shitty, like, yeah.
Did a little bit of work online, sent out some emails, worked on some shit. Go to the appointment. Right after that, get back here to wait for the inspector, and basically no inspector.
Yeah.
So the rest of the afternoon was basically kind of shot. Tried to do some stuff around here, but we were going over some of the construction plans. So it was a bit productive, but it would have been more productive
Had that actually worked.
if Inspector Fucko would have showed up. So, yeah, well, not happy with that at all.
Yeah.
But anyway,
All right, from RJB last week, he asks, Ike or Dylan or both, what were the early years in the business like? Did you mentor with someone, and what was your prior experience in sales or music? Where did you get started back east? So I'm kind of basically going over the
Origin
origins.
story.
Yeah, and then what sold the most early on? Guitars, amps, etc. Work out of your house or garage. So yeah, it's kind of an all-encompassing question about the origins of the business and then how it kind of started in those early years. Which is actually, I feel like we do talk about the origin a fair amount, but we really don't actually talk about the early, like those first few years.
like the
as
early
much.
days when we were barely getting.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, those are tight. Those are tight.
Yeah,
days.
no, when I think about that stuff, it's like it.
How the hell we ever got past that, I still don't know. Okay, so gather around, little childrens. Let me tell you a story how Flipside music started. So, as some of you guys may know, I worked in the bar and restaurant business for about 22 years, ever since I was about 18 years old. So you do the math. And years went by, just did that stuff. That's basically was my career, and that's where I learned a lot about how to cost things out. Because I used to be a kitchen manager, I was a sous chef at one point. I really learned how to kind of run a business that has a fast pace. Not saying that guitar business is a fast pace, but there's a lot of things that are transferable, and I'm kind of getting to that.
Yeah,
So,
instead of doing things on the daily, we do it kind of more on the weekly or monthly. But
we don't have shit that spoils.
Yeah, I was
That's
gonna
the
say
big key.
yeah. There you
We
go.
don't have stuff that spoils, which is great.
Yes.
So,
Although,
well,
you've kind of said that before. If we treat some things like they spoil, move them on that way. But anyway, sorry.
My early days were restaurant business. So it was a lot of, and then from being a sous chef and being a kitchen manager, I went on to being a floor manager and did managed restaurants and like big fast casual stuff like that. So I learned a lot in those years on how to do budgeting and do ordering, and the real thing is the customer service side of it. Was how to build a rapport with customers, how to talk to people and not let them hate you, even when shit goes to shit.
Yeah.
Also, how to not have people take advantage of you just because you're being kind or you're being good, because that happens a lot in the restaurant business where people will take advantage of you if they think they can get away with some shit. And unfortunately, a lot of times what happens is that people just, oh yeah, let me comp the whole thing. I wasn't that guy.
Yeah.
I was not the comp everything off guy. I'll take responsibility for what we fucked up guy,
Right.
and everything else you're paying it for, so I don't know what to tell you. Anyway.
Well, no, I think a lot of that should be run straight because
Yeah.
it does end up creating expectations that
Well-
everybody can't fall to. Like, you know, that's, yeah.
I worked in a restaurant where when I went in, the management staff there used to just give shit away all the time, and so the customer base thought that same way.
Right.
So they would just get discounts, complain and get discounts, and then I just was like, no,
Right.
I'm not doing.
Yeah.
Sorry, that doesn't qualify. I'll give you half off the bite you left on the plate.
Right. Well, and stuff's already tight with the restaurant as is.
Right.
So taking
So,
advantage of that.
I grew up
yeah.
with a bunch. So me starting in restaurants was with a bunch of old school Italians and small business owners, and it was, every scrap counted. So you didn't discount shit unless, I mean, if you screwed up, you took care of customers, but you didn't discount for just nonsense, and especially if they were making shit up. Anyway, this does have meaning. I'm telling you, it's getting, but it is part of our core business.
Yes,
It
no, it
has
is,
a lot
yeah.
to do with how we run the business and how we go about doing it. Not that we're screwing up people's hamburgers, but what I'm saying is the customer service side of things and how we take care of people and trying to be, you know, listen to our customers and work with what we need to do. So that's kind of my background as far as, you know, early years on restaurant stuff. So while I was working at a restaurant, I was starting to get a little bit older and starting to hate it because it's a young person's business. And to be honest, it's like it beats the shit out of you, 12-hour days, 14-hour days. I used to do store openings where we worked 20 hours. I mean, it was brutal. And when you're 22, 24, great, it's a party, there's after hours, there's stuff going on, there's always good times. But when you're in your 30s, it starts to wear on you a bit. Because being drunk at 22 and fucked up is cute. Being fucked up at 34, it just starts to not be as cute. So, and it just wears you down, you know? So what I started doing was just buying guitars and fixing them up, buying things and fixing them up. There was one point where like, I buy anything, I go to garage sales all the time. And this is kind of like when I hear like Gary Vaynerchuk, like Gary V talk about going to garage sales, I'm like, I totally get it and I'm on board with it, Gary. Because I used to just, I'd go to garage sales and I'd find stuff that I thought was worth something. And so I would buy it and sell it on eBay. And then I kind of gravitated towards instruments because I played. So I'm like, oh, I know that pedal. Oh, I know that guitar. And I would buy a guitar and I'd tweak it and I'd fix it and sell
I was
it.
gonna say, yeah, even in that first like year I was with you,
We were still selling weird shit.
Well, and I remember you would still though, like there would be often if it was a little slow, you'd be like, oh hey, I saw a garage sale on the way in, I'm gonna go check it out real quick. And often you'd come back with a few things. Like the one time I remember you came back with like a Strat and a bass and an amp, and we ended up selling all that stuff pretty quick. But yeah, I remember in the early days you still did that. So.
Yeah, early days I was still hustling out there, running around trying to buy shit. Craigslist all the time.
Yeah, we used to watch that all the time.
Yeah, all the time for deals, all the time. And I remember because we used to go butt up against Jock.
Jock, yeah.
Jock is he's a guy locally that buys and sells a lot of gear.
Yeah, if you're in Denver, you know.
Yeah,
like,
if you're in Denver, you know Jock.
You know who he is.
Yeah, you've heard him.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it started. Just buying and selling some stuff, and I'd go to garage sales and sell stuff. But it started to become more like gear orientated. Oh, I could buy that amp. I could probably sell for $50. Make $75. Clean it up. Buy it here. That's kind of where it started, and I was still working as full-time manager at a restaurant. And then I don't remember how old I was, but I was hanging out with a buddy of mine from high school, and we got all fucked up on vodka. Yep, good and drunk. And a bunch of old guys wrestling like they're still in high school, like they're still high school kids, and I broke my ankle.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, I remember the ankle part, but I had kind of forgotten about that. That was how,
Two old guys, two old friends from high school getting effed up on vodka.
And rest.
And I broke my ankle, and so I was stuck at home for 6 weeks with a cast all the way up to my knee. It was pretty good. If you're gonna do something, do it right. So while I was home, you know, I was starting to read stuff about more about online businesses and Amazon and eBay and websites and stuff like this and that and the other thing. And this is 10 years or more ago, probably.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're getting, yeah.
Yeah. So, well, it's probably more than that. Yeah, actually, 2008. Was it 2008? No. maybe 2010. Yeah,
okay.
about 2010, somewhere around there. And so I'm home and I'm like, well, I'm stuck here with a broken leg and I can't do shit. I can't go anywhere. So I basically got a DBA. Went down. I got a buddy of mine to bring me to the town hall. This is in New York, by the way. I was still in New York, upstate New York, and I got a DBA. I went back home and I started making phone calls. Hey, my name is such and such from so and so, and I would like to buy your products. And they're like, "You're who from what the fuck?" No, because the most memorable one, because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to
see if you could catch one.
I was just trying to get stuff to sell because at that point I couldn't go anywhere. So I couldn't drive, I couldn't go to garage sales, couldn't do anything. So I needed somebody that could ship stuff to me that I could resell. And so I just started making phone calls. I was doing research online. I'm like, oh, wholesaling, wholesale music. I even bought this list of shit that was a waste of money. Because it was just nonsense. It was basically threw money. I should have just thrown it out the door because it was a worthless list. But anyway, I finally found a guy in Cleveland who was kind of a middleman broker sort of thing, and he had a bunch of just cheap Chinese shit. It's really what it was. What he did have was like Grover tuners.
Yeah.
And he had some other like major brands, little stuff like parts. So I started buying shit from him, putting it up on Amazon, putting it up on eBay. And then I'd buy bigger stuff, and then I started buying some inexpensive guitars. And I really learned quickly that they're too expensive and they suck. And I remember I had a return once, and a guy literally just put the guitar in the guitar box and sent it back to me.
Yeah, no packaging.
No packaging at all. And when it came back, the headstock was busted out because it was a single cut. Headstock was rattling around, and there was and the wood was sticking out the side of the box.
Wow.
So yeah. So the early years, and what I used to also do. Sorry, I'm getting into the minutia of some of this, but what I used to also do was, and you could probably still try to do this now if you want to, but I think a lot of people are hip to it. During Christmas time, I would go to Costco, BJ's, or Sam's Club, and they always do their Christmas stuff, the kids' toys and shit. Now you had to sell a certain amount of things on Amazon in order to qualify to sell toys. But what I would do is I'd go there and I'd spend a whole afternoon and I'd be writing down all the UPC codes on all the toys that they just brought in. And I'd go to all three companies and I would write it all down. And I'd have like pages and pages of UPC codes written down. And I'd go back and I'd sit at Amazon and I would load them all up. And then, because a buddy of mine turned me on to that. And so one year I'm like, all right, I'm really gonna try this. Now, we'll come back to the broken leg part. So this is actually right around that same time. It was actually right after the broken leg.
Oh, okay.
So
when you were kind of up and running again.
Yeah, so I healed up, but I started buying some guitar parts, and that's kind of where the guitar part started.
Yeah.
The guitar, musical instrument stuff started, but at the same time, I was doing this thing with Amazon, and the first year I said, I'm really gonna try it. Like I said, pages of fucking UPC codes. It was tedious as fuck. It was terrible, because I'm not very good with this computer stuff, because I ran restaurants, and we didn't do a lot of computer work.
Right.
So my first Christmas doing the toy thing, I sold like $40,000 worth of toys. I was running all over the place. I was going from Rochester, New York to Buffalo to Syracuse I even drove to Cleveland once because T-Pain had a microphone. You know T-Pain the rapper? It was this auto-tune piece of shit microphone.
Yeah.
And because what happens is like one product just pops.
Yes, yeah.
And that was the one that popped. And I must have bought 400 of those things in the upstate New York area. I drove everywhere. Utica.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I went all the way out to Utica to get this. And I'm driving in my Jeep, and I got literally, there's toys packed, passenger side packed with toys everywhere to go back home and just package this stuff up and ship it out. But that Christmas thing, kind of started going, well, look, there's viability here. and is what really kind of it taught me. I'm like,
Yeah, it was kind of a proof of concept kind of.
yeah, this can work. Now, granted, the whole idea of buying it from Sam's Club and then reselling it on Amazon for 3 times the price didn't even sound like that could happen. It happens.
Yeah.
Because Christmas time, people fuck up and they forget to buy shit for their kids, and then they go, "Oh no, I need that." It's 3 times the price you could have bought it 3 weeks ago at.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it started. And proof of concept. So I took that money that I made from that Christmas, and I started buying more of the Grover tuners. And I started then at the same time making more phone calls and trying to see if there's anybody that was legit
That would let you sell their
that
stuff.
would let me sell their stuff. I'm out of my garage, my back room into my garage at the time. And so I remember one phone call, which is great. I called Boss, Roland. I called Roland, and I'm like, "I'm so and so, and I'd like to sell your products." I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
I'd like to sell your products, and they go, "Who? You want to do what?" No. So, and then I called somebody out. They're like, "No," because I didn't really understand. I was new to the business. I didn't really know how this shit worked.
Yeah, how the dealership part of things worked or whatever. Yeah.
Right, and I didn't realize that, but I was just trying, and then I made a call to Dunlop MXR, which, funny story, funnily enough, where I grew up as a kid in Rochester was literally a mile away from the original MXR, and my dad plays golf with Mike Lancano, who's one of the guys that started MXR. Kind of funny.
Yeah, that is a pretty cool connection, though.
Yeah. So I hope you guys are all on board with what's going on.
Yeah, I was gonna say hopefully everybody's
enjoying this, because I'm just rambling. But anyway, so I called Dunlop, and they put me to whoever the rep was in my area at the time, and I go, okay, my other approach kind of blew.
Oh.
The hey, I'm so and so, nobody out of fucking nowhere doing nothing. I'd like to sell your shit. That's not gonna
the approach.
Yeah, that's not gonna work. And now, at the time, I was doing reading online to try to figure out how to, small business and starting online and all this other shit. And I go, oh, okay. So I'm like, let me change my approach with this guy. And so he goes, well, what kind of operation you got? I go, well, we're predominantly online based, but we have a small operation that likes to cater to our local musicians and give them the opportunity to truly try out and experience the auditory fantastical sounds of different pedals. Some horse shit like that. But it was basically like, I have a small place that the musicians come in and try out the stuff, and we really want to give them a true sonic experience. So
Yeah,
I just
sell it.
Just
shitting
at this bullshit out, and I'm on the phone and I'm like,
please buy it. Please buy it.
And he goes, oh, that sounds pretty cool, and I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty solid experience, and we're just getting started, so it's we're just starting. And he goes, okay, yeah, we'll get you set up. I'll email you all the information. We'll get you going. And I'm like, holy. So now, that was the first brand that I ever had a relationship with was MXR and Dunlop. So started buying pedals and accessories.
They're still one of our best brands. I mean, obviously they are for all the companies, but they are in particular for us.
The rep that opened me up, I'm still friends with. He doesn't work for Dunlop anymore, but he's still a really good guy, and he's still in the business. It's just a different company now, and I buy stuff from them too. Yeah. And I only buy the stuff from them because he's there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you've had a good luck with a few reps, but I do think that is also because you're also good at, like you said, kind of maintaining that relationship, since it's a two-way street with the reps. Because a lot of them are definitely, some of them can be pushy, some of them aren't, but I feel like we are pretty lucky with the ones we have, because some of them do genuinely just call to check. It's not always
just to shoot the shit.
Yeah, it's not always just the sale. Some of them literally just call to just see how things are going.
Yeah.
And just how we're doing, how the new building's coming, that stuff. So.
And I think we're kind of a breath of fresh air for some people too, because we're just like, this is exactly, if you come in this is exactly what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Swearing. I think this is how it works.
Yeah, we're very straight, very honest, like about all of it, like in terms of personality types, the gear, all of it.
Yeah.
And generally too, I think a lot of people that do shop with us also know that we only do generally carry the things that we're happy to sell.
Yeah, if
like
it's
we
not
don't really,
working,
yeah.
we're not keeping it.
Yeah, if we don't feel good about it, we generally don't have it. So
Right. So, MXR, Dunlop,
yeah,
first company I get, and it's a pedal company. So I get my first order in, and I think my first order was, you got to remember, I'm broke. Like, I really don't have money, but I did make the sales portion of that Amazon seemed like a lot of dollars, but when Jeff Bezos gives you a check, it's like that.
yeah.
Because
Because
they
lops
take
off the
after
frosting.
he lops off the 15% that he takes, and then you got to pay for shipping and all that stuff. It was a big dollar with a little bit of a payout, but it was enough to kind of get me going and try to figure out how to do this and buy, instead of buying, $300 worth of Grovers, I was able to buy more. But my first order with MXR was $600.
Yeah, I was just, I thought you said like 600, 700.
Yeah, it was like $600, and I was like, that was all I could afford. I mean, that was it. And
But it's still cool that they let you in even with that. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like these days,
you couldn't get
yeah,
it.
there's tiny companies that won't let you even start with that.
Yep.
So
So, boom, I put those up on Amazon, and then I realized this sucks.
yeah.
Because Jeff Bezos takes all your money, and you're basically left holding your pecker, hoping you can
Yeah, like
buy a
Amazon
sandwich.
literally takes more of your profit than you get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the benefit, though, being on the East Coast was that shipping was cheaper because there's so many more
it's
people
closer,
up and
yeah.
down the East Coast. So I put stuff up on eBay, Amazon, and started going that route. And I was trying to build a website, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And even back then, there wasn't things like Shopify that were much easier, or Wix, or BigCommerce, or some of those other platforms where you could just kind of go on, take some pictures, and put your shit up, and you're good.
You're started at least.
Yeah, so I was trying to fuck with Yahoo stores, and it was awful. And I'm like, I am just not this guy. This is not, computer side isn't my thing. So anyway, eBay and Amazon worked, and sell some more, buy more, sell more, buy more, sell more. I had and then by that time I went back to work as a restaurant manager again, and realized that I've hated my life. Working for a corporation and being a shithead. I just couldn't do it anymore. And so from there, I moved on, and I was still working in the restaurant business, but I went and did some catering stuff and stuff like that. All right, so that brings us up to leaving New York and coming back to Colorado. Let me just jump back in time for a
preface.
second. Yeah, let me jump back in time though for a second to why I went. I was already living in Colorado. My brother-in-law died, and my sister had 3 kids. So 13, 8, and 3. So basically, the reason I went back to New York was I closed my life here in Colorado. I went back home for 5 years to help with the kids and all that stuff. And when my nephew Tyler went to college, that was my cue. I'm like, I can't be here anymore. So I left Rochester in probably late 95 or 96, early 96.
Okay.
Yeah, and moved downstate New York and lived in Long Island for a while. So anyway, my intention was never to move back to Rochester,
right.
but that's where everything kind of got started. So then you fast forward that up to about 2013, and now I come back to Colorado. So I go, well, my skill set is in restaurant business. I started looking at stuff and doing my resume, and I just sat there and go, I don't think I could do this.
Yeah.
I don't think I can do this again. I'm too old, and I don't have the desire, and I'm tired of putting all those hours for companies that don't give a shit about me at all. So I said, let's give it a go. Now at the same time, my buddy Brian, who turned me on to the Amazon thing, said, I got all this shit in my garage that my wife wants to be able to put the car in there. And I said, great, because I got a bunch of shit in my back room, and I would like to use that as I would like to have the space there. Why don't we get a warehouse? So that's the warehouse up on Washington Street.
Yeah.
So that's how that happened.
Okay.
So me and him joined forces. It was a 1,000 square foot warehouse.
Yes. A very narrow
Yeah. It was
very narrow 1,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, oh shit, we're getting close. 10 minutes. We'll wrap up because we're getting there. So, 1,000 square foot warehouse. Me and my buddy Brian are working there, and he's selling everything. Halloween goblins and fucking decorations and Christmas lights and all sorts of weird seasonal shit. Or and or whatever he could get a hold of.
Yeah.
He would buy stuff from like liquidation.com. It would come in, he'd resell it. He used to have these massive garage sales in his neighborhood because he lived in the suburbs where they have HOAs and
Where you could do those
and
things,
families
yeah.
and stuff. not my thing. So it started with that, and in that warehouse, I started then picking up other brands. I think I picked up Earthquaker,
On Walrus.
and I think I picked up Walrus.
Yeah, because I
and-
think that was when I met you pretty shortly after you'd just gotten up and running there, I think.
Yeah.
Because like that was the main reason I was coming in was the pedal.
Well, actually, it was a little bit after, because what happened was we started with. So I started buying more pedal companies because now a little bit more money was coming in. I was putting it in, but I wasn't working. I wasn't working at a place. Now, when I was in New York, I had a house, so I sold that house and I used some of that to go. Let's try this.
Right.
Otherwise, you got to work for a bunch of schmucks, or you could work for self schmuck.
Yeah.
And that's much better. You know, I could tolerate that boss a little bit better than every other asshole out there. So, I started buying pedal companies because they would at least let me in the door.
Right.
And it was a smaller buy-in. So we started
Easier
doing
to
that.
sell, easier
and then,
to ship.
And then Reverb was brand new.
Yeah.
And so I jumped on Reverb right away. Started putting stuff up on there. Now we're selling a little bit more. Then my buddy Brian got an opportunity to start doing escape rooms. That was a big thing.
I thought it was that Brian. Okay, I thought it was that
Yeah.
Brian. Okay, yeah, that makes
So
sense. Yeah.
he got an opportunity to do escape rooms, and he's like, "I'm out. I'm gonna go do. This is the thing. This is the thing that's gonna make me a bajillionaire." And he's like, "I'm out." I said, "All right, well, okay." So when he took off, then I kind of started setting the store up.
Okay.
I
so
started
that's
setting
what-
it up as like a store.
like a storefront. Okay.
Like a storefront. Now, I wasn't Flipside Music then. I was just still an online guy. But I was like, let me put some shit on the wall, and if people come in, we can. Because I didn't really have the Flipside thing yet.
Right.
And then that's when Dylan came in the picture.
Yes.
Somehow he found out about me and popped in and had questions about a guitar, a Barrington,
Yeah.
that he was working on. And so I was like, oh, you could do this. And then he asked, hey, do you need any help? And at the time, I'm like, yeah, I could probably use somebody a day a week to help me with some of this shit. And then,
Well, at that time, you were literally just down the street from where I lived.
yeah. So it was great.
Yeah.
Now he's got to drive like an ass all through Denver
Yeah.
traffic. So then that was early. And then from there, we brought in Chapman Guitars. We were the second company to bring Chapman Guitars into the U.S. That was a fucking fiasco. Don't ask me any questions about that. If you ever come in the shop, I'll tell you the full story.
Well, it's funny because like you've said a few times, like I am glad at like some of the people you met through that, and I'm glad at even some of the attention that was brought to the shop because of that.
Right.
Was helpful. The other part of it, dealing with the physical product,
Dealing with the
Awful.
product, dealing with Chapman and fucking Captain Dickwad and the other guy. It wasn't worth it, but it was a big lesson learned. Very big lesson learned with those guys. So there was definitely positive shit that happened out of that.
Yes.
Anyway, that was the birth, at that point, of Flipside Music.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, we're gonna do this, and I'm gonna really push it forward. That was 2014.
yes.
And that's when I was like, all right, here's the new DBA, the new company. I started anew, and then I was like, I'm going full force into the music thing, because by that time I already had some companies, and I just loved every bit of it, and the guitars and all the thing. So fast forward a little bit more, we were kind of working out of that little shop, and then a friend of mine said, hey, I got some friends here that got a studio, and you want to go check it out? Sure.
Yeah.
Talk to those guys, and they go, hey, the space next to us is open. Would you consider it? And I ended up leaving the little warehouse and renting that out. That was a 2,000 square foot space. I rented half of it, or actually I only rented 700 square
Yeah, it
feet.
was really just that front. Yeah.
It was the front of the warehouse, and another company had the back. Well, that other company then ended up moving. We took the whole thing over, and we've been at that location ever since.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and then now we're going to be coming here. Now, the thing is the early years were lean. We didn't have advertising budget. We didn't have any of this stuff. There were days where 2 people came in the store.
Well, and it's literally like because I know we say organic a lot, that things that grew organically, but it's literally as organic as possible. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like
word
you
of
said.
mouth. Those guys
yeah.
are cool. They got cool stuff. And then we just started picking up more pedal companies.
Yes.
And before we knew it, we eclipsed the guy that was known in town as the pedal guy.
Yes.
We had, well, I don't know that we had more pedals than him, but we had the pedals that people wanted.
We did, and we were, I think too, at that point it was and still is unique in terms of being able to come in and literally try any of the pedals
Yeah.
at any time, because that's still kind of our thing. And everybody, like, it seems like even customers we get from all parts of the country, it seems like that's not always an easy thing with every music shop you go to. So
Right.
I think initially that was a big part of it, is like people felt comfortable actually coming in and sitting down with the stuff. And still, you know,
And
it
was
still
just
is.
me and Dylan for
Yeah.
the longest time. It was, if we had to take a day off, we had to literally run the store by ourselves. If I
Yeah.
went out of town, by ourselves. If he had to go out of town, by ourselves.
Yeah, and we
that's
just
how
alternated and did things as we could.
And there was days when we worked together because we knew, like, hey, Fridays or Saturdays are busier.
Yeah.
But when we first started, we weren't even open on Sunday
Right, or Monday. I
or
think.
Monday, and then
Yeah.
well, let's expand it to that. And it was really, really lean, but we did have some of the online sales.
Yeah.
So that was kind of keeping us going. But there was days where, like, nobody fucking came in,
Yes.
and they were. And it was
No,
hard.
it was rough. Yeah, I
And
mean,
literally, I was like about as broke as I've ever been. Like, literally just making enough to pay my bills, because I had my car was paid off, but it literally was just enough to pay my mortgage payment and get some food. So
yeah, no, it
you
was.
thank God I'm Italian and I know how to cook batch food. I
Yeah.
can make big batches. I can live for a long time on a bag of beans and sauce and stuff
a
like
big
that.
thing of pasta. Yeah.
And it was real lean. But it was the two of us, for the longest time. And then things started to pick up and move along, and we grabbed more brands and got more people started to tell their friends what we were doing, and it just kind of grew. And here we are. Last year, bought a 4,500 square foot building, and we're looking to grow even more, hopefully,
Yeah.
through this year. So that's
Well, and we're already we're not even in here, and we're already sort of worried because we're growing. That we're already worried that we're gonna outgrow here quicker than we think. So it's all And Brad kind of put moral of the story is keep pushing on. But I think that really
rise
is.
and grind, baby.
Yeah,
Rise and
because
grind. 'Cause
those early years, it's like I don't even know how to explain how hard some of that stuff was in those early.
Because he wasn't making shit because I couldn't
Yeah.
pay him.
Yeah.
And I wasn't making shit because I wasn't making shit.
Yeah,
And the thing, he used to have to tell me to take a day off
yeah,
because I would not stop. I would come in every day, months of just working every day. And not only coming in the shop and working, but being at home
yeah.
on
Going
the
home
fucking
and still
computer.
doing the same. Yeah,
And it's
Well, in
the
those
same way
early
now.
days, too,
I
we-
still do. I still am at home in the morning. It's just rise and grind. If you're gonna do it, you got to do it, and you got to commit to it.
Well, I think people don't always. That's one thing, like on the outside of it, people don't always appreciate the front end load. Because like even the guys that we've had come in and join us along the way, none of them. That's the one part of it. None of them will ever have seen or ever get exactly was what it was like. Because like even in those early days when we were rebuilding the website, we did it like 3 different times. So literally months
The
and
two of
months
us.
on end. Yeah, just
Yeah.
redoing all the listings, redoing
Taking
everything.
pictures. Everything in the beginning, I took
Yeah.
all the pictures.
Yeah, and we had to do all that stuff while keeping the shop open, and most of the time the website stuff we were just doing at home because
Yeah.
it was just easier. And but that's the one side of it that like I appreciate all the dudes we have, but like that's the one side of it
They'll
that
never
they'll
see
never
that.
quite see. Yeah,
I mean, stressed, not sleeping, just going and sitting there going, I'm 47 years old and I'm trying to hawk guitars for a living. What am I doing? Like, what am I like? Just trying to work through the what am I gonna do? Like, can I do this? Can this actually be a thing? Because we didn't have any money.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have any money. There was no money.
Yeah.
And it was like everything that I took, everything that we sold, it was enough to pay him and pay me, so I didn't lose my house, and the rest went back into more inventory, and just kept fucking pounding that rock, and it's paid off over the long run because now we're well established. We have a good customer clientele and stuff like that, and we're ready to kind of take it now to the next level and grow bigger. We got some really great ideas, but I'm glad we got here.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of times laying there going, fuck, I gotta sell my car. Fuck,
Yeah.
I gotta sell my guitars. I gotta sell a car.
Yeah.
Like, how am I gonna make it through? So, but we we put a lot of time and work in to get to here.
Yes.
You know, so if I could do it, I'm a dumbass. Fuck, I don't know shit. But
Well,
that
it really
refers
does-
back to the customer service.
Yeah.
That's what sets us apart.
Well, it
is
is,
that
and
we're
that,
there.
to this day, that's still why, you know, I think that being organic, like we said, that is why people come in, though. It's like we continue to treat people the way we always wished somebody would treat us at a music store. Because it's like we don't really have, that's one thing that we don't really have in town is us. So we kind of just, we had to be that. Because now we have a lot of guys, like we have customers that are borderline salesmen just because
yeah.
they've been hanging out with us for so long. They know everything we've been saying. So like they help sell stuff when they're in. So a lot of that, like the loyalty of the customers, I think that's the payoff of what we did and all that early stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the origin story, and that brings us to 5 o'clock.
Yes.
So I think we lost a bunch of people along the way because I fucking rambling or whatever. Maybe I said F too much.
Well, I don't know. It was a longer story, but I think, you know, people.
That's a full.
I think there's a few
pretty full
guys
story.
out there that can, that'll appreciate the work that goes into that stuff. I know there's a few guys in the chat that have also worked for that stuff. So
Yeah, it's just, you know,
yeah.
rise and grind.
Speaking of which,
just
Texas
keep doing
Toast
it.
just showed up. So, or maybe they did earlier, but
did they?
Yeah, they know exactly what we're talking about.
All right, well, they're on next.
Yes.
This whole guitar primetime thing starts with us at 4 o'clock. Flipside Music, Great American Guitar Store. Then you go over to see Texas Toast. Those guys are doing a live stream from 5 to 6. And then after that, go check out Dylan Talks Tone. And that's your Thursday night.
Yeah, the
Baby.
Great American Guitar Shop, then the Great American Guitar Makers, then the Great American Pickup Maker. I guess he's
Yeah.
Dylan's still solo, I guess, right? Or his
Yeah.
wife.
Oh, yeah. his
Yeah,
wife
so
also
yeah,
went
so
on.
they do have a very small crew too.
So that's it. We got to go because we're got.
Yeah, we don't want to cut into their.
We don't want to
time.
cut into their time, but I appreciate you guys listening to the story. I mean, that's the way it all started. And basically, the moral of the story is, if you got a dream and you want to do some shit, just
Literally
keep
just
pounding
keep
that
working
rock.
it, yeah.
Just keep doing it. And if you know it's gonna work, just keep doing it. Just don't give up on shit, and don't let somebody else ever tell you what your fucking ceiling is. Because
Exactly.
that's the shit that motivated me working in restaurants, where I always had somebody telling me
Where you're gonna stop.
they had control of what I was going to achieve. That ain't gonna happen. Fuck that. So go do your shit.
Yes.
That and go. Now I turned into Gary Vee all of a sudden. All right, go. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Oh, I just never did this stupid button.